Hello, my name is Kevin Maher, and I'm a member of the Bay Community Theater's programming team, and I'm here to introduce this week's featured film in our Beyond the Bay virtual film series. This week we're featuring Some Like It Hot from 1959. The film stars Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis, and Marilyn Monroe, and was directed by Billy Wilder. The film was released by Paramount and is the story of two struggling musicians who, after witnessing the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, are forced to dress in drag, join an all-girls band, and get out of town to flee the mobsters who are out to kill them. The film is often listed near the top of the greatest films of all time, and the American Film Institute actually named it the best comedy in their 100th anniversary celebration. With its blend of both physical and verbal comedy, as well as the best performance of Marilyn Monroe's career, Some Like It Hot has something for everyone. For me, Billy Wilder is on the short list of the best filmmaker of the classic Hollywood era. He wrote and directed such classics as Sunset Boulevard, The Apartment, The Lost Weekend, and Witness for the Prosecution. Wilder came to Hollywood as a screenwriter and received his first Academy Award nomination for 1939's Greta Garbo comedy, Ninotchka. He burst on the scene as a writer-director with his third feature, Double Indemnity, in 1944, for which he was nominated for both Best Director and for Best Screenplay. During his career, Wilder was nominated for an amazing 20 Academy Awards, winning 6 times. Wilder's directing style, however, was very simple. He often said he just pointed the camera where he wanted the viewer's eye to go and let his actors speak in front of it the lines that he had brilliantly crafted, making sure that not an additional comma, an extra period, or any words were either dropped or added to his wonderful script. Some Like It Hot is Wilder at the pinnacle of his powers, confidently melding difficult actors, challenging subject matter, and multiple genres and styles. That he was able to accomplish this while facing industry, studio, and producer doubts, and create a classic film that stands the test of time and the scrutiny of multiple viewings is simply amazing. Wilder and co-writer I.A.L. Diamond based the film on a concept of two musicians masquerading in drag that they had taken from a 1951 German film. When Wilder came up with the idea to have the musicians witness the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, adding life and death circumstances to the farce, they were off and running, churning out the second script in their 24-year, 12-film collaboration. Wilder immediately knew that he wanted Jack Lemmon for the part of Daphne/Jerry, but Lemmon had an exclusive ironclad contract with Columbia. Lemmon jumped at the part solely for the opportunity to work with Wilder, but had to agree to make 4 more films for cheapskate studio Columbia. Lemmon and Wilder would go on to make 7 more films together, including Best Picture winner The Apartment and The Fortune Cookie with Walter Matthau. Tony Curtis was the first to actually sign on to the picture, however, but United Artists, which would be releasing the film, wanted bigger stars, so they insisted on approaching Frank Sinatra. Sinatra blew off a meeting with Wilder after learning 80% of his performance would be in drag. Lemmon and Curtis were both coming off Oscar-nominated films themselves. For Curtis, it was 1958's The Defiant One, and Lemmon actually won a Best Supporting Oscar for 1955's Mr. Roberts. Lemmon embraced the idea of appearing in drag, trusting Wilder to take the performance right to the edge without ever crossing the imaginary line. Curtis was more circumspect, however, about appearing in drag and had to be coaxed from the dressing room on the first day of shooting. Later that day, however, both men pushed the boundary themselves by sauntering into the ladies' restroom in the studio commissary without even causing a stir. Mitzi Gaynor, fresh off her performance in South Pacific, was approached about playing Sugar, but when Marilyn Monroe voiced interest in the part, Wilder and Diamond increased the size of the part and centered the script. Wilder had worked with Monroe 4 years earlier on The 7-Year Itch and was well aware of her magnetic presence on screen, if not the evolving nature of her work ethic and mental state. Producers agreed to pay her $300,000 plus 10% of the gross profits, while Curtis and Lemmon received just $100,000 each. Hollywood called the film Wilder's Folly, feeling that having his leads in drag would doom the picture at the box office. Wilder countered by first having the film set in 1929, believing that when all the costumes appear peculiar, a guy in drag looks no more peculiar than anyone else, and then making it in black and white, which would reduce the pressure on Curtis and Lemmon to actually look like women. Monroe, who had a stipulation in her contract requiring all of her films be shot in glorious Technicolor, agreed to waive the requirement after seeing garish color shots of Lemmon and Curtis in drag. Once filming began, however, Lemmon and Curtis in drag became the least of Wilder's concerns. Marilyn Monroe arrived on the set depressed after having suffered a recent miscarriage and immediately began causing problems. She wouldn't show up to the set until afternoon, and her reliance on the approval of her on-set acting coach required multiple retakes and delays in shooting. Wilder wasn't aware of the actress's dependence on booze, sleeping pills, and painkillers, but it's truly amazing to see how much of the real Marilyn he was able to capture in Sugar's character and her performance. While Monroe's behavior caused nearly a week's delay in shooting and $700,000 in budget overruns, both Lemmon and Curtis later said they enjoyed working with Marilyn, if only because the end result was so incredibly magical. While watching Daily Rushes one day, Curtis famously commented that kissing Monroe was like kissing Hitler. Many thought this was a response to his frustration with Monroe, but he swore it was a sarcastic answer to a ridiculous question. When shooting finally wrapped and a working print was assembled, Wilder showed it to studio brass and industry insiders. Aside from Diamond and Wilder, all those assembled agreed that the film just didn't work. When a preview audience saw the film a few weeks later and no one laughed, those same studio leaders demanded Wilder recut the entire film. Thankfully, Wilder stood by the film, removing just one 60-second scene. When a second preview audience laughed uproariously, producers knew and were confident that they had a hit on their hands. Some Like It Hot was released on March 29, 1959, and earned $25 million at the box office in its initial run, good for third on the list for the year. It also went on to be nominated for 6 Academy Awards, winning just one for Master Costumer Ori Kelly's beautiful gowns for all 3 of the ladies. Wilder's mashup of an over-the-top farce, a send-up of the classic gangster films of the 1930s, and a spot-on critique of sexual and class politics is a masterclass in razor-sharp dialogue married to concise visuals. The film's commentary on the fluidity of gender and identity, wrapped in a full-on gut laughter, makes it much more than a formulaic Hollywood comedy. Some Like It Hot is a classic because it's really funny, but it ages so well because some of its truths still ring true today. But hey, nobody's perfect. Thanks for tuning in today. I look forward to our live Q&A discussion on Thursday, May 7th. Please email any questions or comments to beyond@baycommunitytheater.org and go to thebaytheater.com for more information. Thank you again.